Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Tuesday, February 13th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? 2 cards flying out of the deck to start today, and we love to see these cards in combination. We have here our King of Wands, and it's upright with our High Priestess. What did I tell you was happening right now in terms of the alignment of the lesson? What did I mention about masculine energy helping feminine become a clearer mirror? Masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency. This is just basically backing up what I just clarified upon. This is that feeling right now of, again, feminine coming into better understanding of the self. How is feminine coming into better understanding of the self? Bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. By speaking in conversation with masculine. What is masculine getting from this exchange? Masculine is becoming and acting as a clear channel to feminine, recognizing and realizing that as they impart information to the feminine, they are also receiving the same lesson. This is that moment for masculine where, again, that ability to walk someone through something, the point of teaching, the point of helping someone else see something about oneself is the gift of the teacher that comes back to the teacher, because this is not masculine that is just patronizing on a feminine energy. This is masculine that is imparting insight through seeing the mirror of the feminine. And even as they are recognizing and helping the feminine through this, the masculine is also learning the same lesson. So this is the act of true teaching, because the act of true teaching is one where you are also a humble pupil of the lesson that you are imparting through the act of connectivity. Masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency right now. We see that this is going to feel like a lot of harmonics that are coming into play, potentially a lot of conversation, a lot of planning. Feminine coming into better understanding of the self via the masculine. Masculine coming into better understanding of the self via the feminine. We love to see these two in this type of conversation. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. What we're effectively seeing is, again, what did I tell you was happening yesterday? Masculine, feminine, almost looking at something as like a limitation vector into coming into union, potentially even leading with like the hard part. This is feminine almost looking at the masculine to a certain extent of coming into divine union, being like, well, let me tell you the bad news. Let me tell you the hard part. And this is masculine almost looking at feminine and saying, that doesn't sound like a bad news to me. That doesn't sound like a hard part. Who made you think that that was a negative? That ability right now, and again, looking at something that feminine may have been carrying as that unhealed vector, something that was utilized as a point of resistance or impossibility from another energetic connection, is almost facilitating a deeper connection right now coming into the heart of the divine union. Because that is the difference of, again, energy that is trying via V to come into union with each other, seeing anything that's externally blocking them as something that is easily navigated around. And this is masculine almost immediately providing the solution or context through which they're going to overcome whatever that hurdle is that was creating that impossibility vector that feminine thought was potentially going to create a limitation point. Feminine coming into better understanding of self, because this is, again, a feminine that may have even been holding something as looking at a point, feeling and waiting like almost for the other shoe to drop in terms of imparting something to masculine, waiting for them to say like, that's a no deal, that's a firm stop, that I can see why that's going to be a problem, because this is the unhealed karma that feminine was potentially carrying from past situations and circumstances that is immediately now being seen as a positive. This is a negative immediately becoming through as a positive here, which is, again, moving energy very quickly and deeply into the heart of the divine union frequency. Energy that's in separation. This is not telling me that there's going to be energy that's in separation very long right now, because even now in separation, there's something about the energy in separation that is moving right now, coming into immediate alignment with other energy that is supporting their path work right now. This is feminine, again, almost pulling back from circumstances or situations that are requiring them to do all of the heavy lifting, almost adopting that letting go process, that waiting and seeing, saying, if you love something, let it go. If it comes back to you, then that's the evidence here, because this is feminine energy waiting to see for the masculine to be able to create that supportive conduit in recognizing what feels like it is in alignment. So for a lot of the feminine energy right now, even if in separation, this could be speaking to someone in some way, shape, or form that is validating your own choices. So this is feminine energy that is coming into personal alignment with their own choice and separation, and then feeling that energy validated by the energy that's around them, that is basically, again, acting as a clear mirror to feminine. Masculine energy that's on the healing journey, we see that again, if you are in separation right now because you tried to move forward from a place of honesty, openness, integrity towards a feminine, and it led to a point of separation. This is masculine potentially going towards feminine energy, seeking that point of validation, seeking that point of clarity. And what is the feminine doing? Feminine is saying you are in the right for doing so, that if you are moving from a place of openness and clarity, this is again feminine saying and validating masculine in separation in some way, shape, or form, saying, I understand. I see what you are trying to do. I see that your motivations were well-intentioned. So we see here that even for the energy in separation right now, there is a sense or level of peace that is coming into circumstances or situations, because this is the validation even in this moment of separation. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, second card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here the Moon card, because this is the gift of honesty. This is the gift of clarity. For feminine energy, that's why we see a lot of the feminine energy in separation. This is not the feminine energy looking to try to chase after something. This is feminine energy accepting the core truth of a situation or circumstance. And this is why we even see that for a lot of the feminine energy that feels like they were having to do too much of the heavy lifting, this is that moment of effectively just stepping back. Because this point of observation, what is happening in the wake of just stepping back and not necessarily being the one to push all the hard work on, seeing if there is that energetic alignment, this is what's helping the feminine come into understanding of the true situations and circumstances that surround them right now. And not only is that happening in separation right now, this is feminine energy potentially connecting with other energy that is simultaneously helping them with that same level or degree of clarity. So this is feminine energy in separation. Not only, this is not just trusting one's own self, but this is almost ground testing that sense of clarity with others that are validating what you may have seen or what you may be feeling at this time. Masculine, you're in alignment with feminine even in separation right now, because masculine, we see that if you're in separation, you may be doing the same work. If you tried to come towards feminine from a place of openness, honesty, wanting to build with the feminine, and that created a barrier, that openness created a limitation hurdle. This is masculine also moving towards feminine right now, getting a point of clarity and validated in terms of making sure and seeing that if you tried to move from a place of honesty and openness and it led to separation, then it was probably not a space or place that was leading to true alignment. So we see here that even energetically right now in separation, there may be a lot of clarity that's coming into fold. It may be feeling very vulnerable. There's a lot of vulnerable work that's happening here. Moving into a space of understanding the truth of circumstances and situations can feel very vulnerable. But that vulnerability is one that we see as being energetically supported at this time, which is what we like to see. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This clarity is feeling retroactive to some situations and circumstances from the past, because this could be that moment of, again, opening up in the way that you're opening up right now, potentially even opening up about the past situations and circumstances. Feminine almost looking at situations coming into union, building up and saying something that they thought might have created a point of separation, a tangible separation point, something that they thought was going to trigger an impossibility vector. And masculine being like, what are you talking about? I don't see any hurdle here. I don't see any problem. And masculine effectively having the same impact right now with feminine, both moving from a state of honesty, openness, and clarity, and seeing that that clarity isn't creating a wall, it's creating a deeper connectivity point. This is moving energy almost immediately into divine union energy. Like that is just becoming clear here. It's like feeling like walls are coming down to a certain extent, because again, it's almost like pointing at a wall that someone else said was a wall and someone else being like, that's not a wall. There's nothing there. That's not a wall. That's like a little hurdle that needs to be stepped over. It's inconsequential. This is not something that is going to be a barrier between us. Masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency, this is the deepening of the connection. And this is vulnerable work that we're effectively seeing, because this is a moment of a lot of peace coming into the forefront in relationship to circumstances and situations. This is masculine and feminine in the heart of the divine union, looking at things with a lot of clarity and openness. And we see here that if anything, this is just a further unpacking and openness that is occurring right now in the divine union frequency, that is leading to a lot of clarity. And it's almost like, again, that strengthening of bonds, if you will, through that energetic connection, through looking at things and seeing how can we be more clear? How can we be more honest? How can we be more open? Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is masculine energy coming in with our King of Swords. Now, this is very interesting because this is, again, energetically right now. I did mention the fact that there is something that feels very curatorial, if you will, around the masculine energy towards the feminine in the divine union frequency, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This could even be creating a space or place of masculine feeling a little triggered by some point of honesty or openness right now. So we do see here that there is something here that masculine, you may be feeling you are trying to internally navigate, right? Because there's that level or degree of honesty or openness right now that's looking for a point of action, looking for something that you can act upon. Remember how I was describing yesterday that a lot of the energy of the masculine coming into divine union right now was like looking for that path work, looking for that task work, looking for that point of repair. This is almost the masculine to a certain extent, expressing that or seeking that from the feminine right now, because we did see, remember how I brought up one of the challenges yesterday for the energy in the divine union frequency was masculine, feminine recognizing that the masculine was so quick to be able to try to lend assistance, that feminine was using an act of discernment to determine what they wanted to express to masculine for fear of masculine feeling like that would be a call to action. This is working through that clarity context right here. This is almost the difference between feminine trying to articulate something. This is some of the path work that may necessarily need to happen right now, which is causing a bit of difficulty even for the energy in the divine union right now, because this is feminine almost expressing something to masculine about the fact that sometimes feminine likes to just communicate things that don't require path work to occur. This is feminine almost going into a point of unpacking things, openly processing, if you will. And the difficulty and hurdle here is potentially feminine articulating to masculine that sometimes feminine expresses something that they don't necessarily need the masculine to move forward on, but masculine is looking for that sake of pushing forward in that way. And this is how these two are energetically working so well together. Because do you see here about the fact that the feminine is pulling back? Feminine is moving more in that sense of observation and unpacking. Masculine is trying to push forward in a point of action, but again, taking advisement from the feminine energy. This is the harmony that we want to see energetically between these, because it is action that is based on full clarity between, that is informed and is allowing a point of driving forward through mutual determination points. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This clarity, this insight is potentially feeling like a breakthrough energy. And for feminine, what may be feeling so triggering right now, even at a moment that you're building into divine union with an energetic connection, is seeing the excitement, seeing the quickness, seeing the level or degree that masculine is ready to like address a need, even to the point of you effectively saying and articulating that there's something here that you were worried was going to be an impossibility vector, and masculine being like, no, it's not. In fact, I'm going to go the extra mile to show you how little I care about that as something that could be a preventative moment between us. That level or degree right now is building a sense of personal understanding with the feminine around situations and circumstances from the past, wherein energy wasn't necessarily moving with that point of trying to just plan around a difficulty, but was utilizing it in a way to like weaponize or to hold something against the feminine that was creating an impossibility point. So this is feminine overcoming and building clarity right now about what masculine does in a moment of difficulty or crisis. Because the lesson here for the energy coming into divine union is that, again, the divine union energy builds closer in moments of difficulty. They don't fall apart. They don't fall away. So even now for the energy of the feminine, this feeling may be feeling very triggering, even if you're coming into divine union right now, because seeing the way someone is moving, the intensity, the intensity and the intentionality of it is suddenly building a framework in terms of what may have experienced or seen in the past. Masculine energy. You're experiencing this right now potentially with feminine energy if you're moving into divine union. Because if you're moving into divine union right now and feminine is articulating these things, almost like having that moment of saying, I'm sure that this is going to be a limitation. I'm sure that this is going to be a hurdle. And you're looking at something and again, you're almost saying to feminine, no, it's not. Who told you that would be? I'm going to go the extra mile to show you that that's so not a problem. This is again almost a moment of masculine. You're building a deeper connection with feminine, and it's almost creating a space that you're feeling very protective over that energy because you're recognizing and realizing that a feminine moving from that space is amplifying and articulating that because someone made them feel that that was the case. And so even now, this is the masculine becoming a clear mirror to feminine, but building into a connection with feminine by understanding what may have came before that was making the feminine feel less than valued, or that there was something here that was an impossibility vector. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is why we see for the feminine energy in separation right now, there's something about building into this level or degree of clarity, because I have to say that for some of the feminine energy in separation right now, there may even be more than one masculine energy that is potentially around the feminine. Why? Because we see that there's some masculine energy right now that's trying to potentially drive forth towards a feminine connection, but it doesn't feel like it's coming with the right level or degree of integrity. It may feel like it's more reactionary. It may be feeling more like it's built on their own need or their own anger or their own frustration, as opposed to coming towards the feminine with solutions. What is feminine doing right now if there's energy that is reactive or coming towards the feminine in a way that feels like it is reactive instead of offering solutions? Feminine is talking to other masculine energy about what to do around circumstances or situations, because this is feminine energy that is still questioning their own self and their own intuition, and they are working forward by unpacking their own difficulties with other energetic connections with masculine energy that may be trying to provide solutions to help them with the energy that's potentially coming towards them from more of a reactionary space. Do you see how this is occurring here? Do you see the clarity that's coming through? And this is masculine energy that may be trying to give and provide context to a feminine about those circumstances and situations, at the same time becoming very protective over the feminine energy that is articulating this to them, because this is masculine that is seeing the fact that there's some energy around the feminine that may be moving more from a state of the passion center or the frustration center instead of the place of higher mindedness, of higher thought, of looking towards what the feminine needs as opposed to one's own personal sense of validation or justification. So we see here that these are the energies moving into a healing spectrum that are moving and focusing on positive, productive paths forward. Masculine. This is also a moment that we are seeing that if you are in separation right now, you yourself are also getting potentially validated about your circumstance and situation. If you move towards a feminine energy from a point of integrity and it led to a separation moment, we see even now that you may be trying to unpack this to a certain degree. And we're seeing that there may be a feeling right now, and this is what's something that needs to be navigated right now for some of the masculine energy and separation, because this could be feeling like there is some intensity or frustration that's coming through right now in terms of feeling validated about the fact that you may have been trying to do the right thing. And even now we see that masculine trying to navigate through this right now is almost coming through a feeling or sense of injustice around circumstances or situations, because this is masculine energy that may be feeling like whatever they're separating from, someone asked them for something, but they weren't necessarily truly ready to inhabit that. So we see even now that this could be masculine trying to move into a space of easement. But we see here that at the same time, masculine is getting validated a lot right now by energy and separation that is trying to help the masculine energy recognize what feels like that point of understanding and coming into a point of acceptance of that vulnerability. Because you'll remember I brought up the fact that that vulnerability is more triggering for the masculine. Feeling like you were rejected or pushed away from at a point that you were being as honest and vulnerable as possible almost creates in the masculine a sense of personal injustice. But we see here that the energy that is healing is navigating that energetically right now, moving through a place of looking for positive ways to channel some of that sense of frustration. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fourth card in our 5-card spread is beautiful. We've got beautiful cards today. We've got here our 10 of Cups. So what is happening? This is that moment right now that we are seeing that the importance and significance of honesty is necessary in order to move towards the full determination of what you're trying to manifest at this time. Being able to manifest in a space or place that is operating in a place of illusion is simply recognizing that that's not necessarily creating a harmonic space for all of the energy involved. So we see here that for the divine union, this ability to come from a state of openness, to come from a state of honesty, that ability to build clarity here, that context of clarity that's coming forth, is helping to amplify what feels like it is moving in a productive fashion in relation to the long-term manifestation goals. This is why we see that the energy right now in the divine union is working so hard in building that sense of openness and honesty, not even between themselves, but within the self. Because those are now feeling to a certain degree like those are not separate acts. That level or degree of openness is something that is being amplified here because it is recognizing that only through that openness can you be able to manifest in a way that feels like it is building towards the collective energetic manifestation goal. So we see here that one of the things that is becoming a little bit difficult even at this time is that there's something about this right now where the feminine is unpacking things. They're opening things up. They're discussing. They want to be more in that space of creating a place of honesty and openness. While for masculine, this work right now may feel like it is a little bit triggering because there could be something that's happening even in divine union right now that is showing the fact that sometimes feminine energy likes to express things, but they don't necessarily require the masculine to need to take forward and need to take immediate action on something. So even here we see that there's a level or degree of nuance that's being experienced for some of the energy in the divine union frequency. The energy on the outskirts of the divine union frequency, this is moving into the heart of the divine union frequency and recognizing the difference in the energetic connections that may be leading to a point of productivity versus energy that may be falling away from it. Because as we said, there's a moment right now that feminine is being very, masculine and feminine are being very open to each other, ideally aspiring to the fact that through that openness and honesty, you can move towards a manifestation goal that you're truly achieving or hoping to right now. This is feminine energy to a certain extent and masculine both hitting that moment of saying or doing something that they're worried is potentially going to create an impossibility vector. Something that, again, for the feminine, they may have been experiencing or feeling very vulnerable about, having experienced situations from the past wherein that was looked at as something that was a limitation point. But what we're really seeing right now for a lot of the feminine energy is that moment of, again, seeing masculine that isn't necessarily looking at that as a negative, but more seeing it as a productivity point, almost amplifying to feminine how little of a problem something that the feminine is looking at as a problem or something that was articulated as a problem was in the past. This is almost amplifying or moving masculine towards the feminine faster right now This is almost like that moment of feminine seeing something that like in the past may have been looked at as an impossibility vector, but instead is like making the masculine move even faster towards them. Is again feeling like that moment of, again, it's going to feel somewhat bittersweet to the feminine, because this is a moment that is amplifying the difference of the energy that is truly in alignment with the feminine versus energy that may have been more reactive in terms of recognizing that you guys weren't necessarily on the same frequency. Masculine right now, again, seeing and experiencing something with the feminine, that feminine may be articulating that something that they opened up towards you, or something that they told you about themselves, or something that they're showing you that they thought would be a limitation matrix, was due to the fact that some energy in the past used it as a point of opposition, used it as a point of, again, energetically like creating a point of resistance or hostility. This is a moment here that masculine is almost, again, helping the feminine by becoming a clear mirror, by amplifying the fact that there's something here that masculine does not see as a negative, but in a way is further amplifying the fact that this is a manifestation that masculine is hoping to move towards right now. This is coming deeply into the heart of the divine union frequency very quickly. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. A lot of possibility of new energetic connections potentially taking root right now, because we see here, what do we see that's happening in separation? This is feminine stepping back from circumstances or situations right now, trying to recognize and have that point of feeling like if they care about someone and they release them, hopefully that energy will come back in the way that they know that they need them to, not just from a passion center. This may be triggering right now to some of the energy coming towards feminine right now. Feminine may be unpacking this right now with masculine energy. And that sense of support right now, seeing the difference between someone who can openly discuss something in a positive way versus seeing something that may potentially create a reaction space for some other energy right now. This is difficult for feminine because it's building clarity on why some connections aren't working versus starting to feel those insights and seeing an energy that they can truly build towards a manifestation goal with. Masculine, if in separation right now, this is a moment or opportunity where you yourself, if you are moving away from a feminine because you tried to be open and honest towards that feminine, and it led to a reactivity point, it led to a feminine pushing you away, you may also right now be talking to a feminine energy, either again, a feminine energy that is reapproaching you with a point of understanding and validating and understanding the intentionality of you being open in that way, or new energetic connections with feminine, validating, telling them your experiences, amplifying accountability to get that value point in terms of seeing and recognizing if you effectively did something wrong. Or if this is energy that is validating and saying, no, you did everything that you should have done in that moment, that a point of alignment, that ability to talk something through is also helping you move towards your manifestation goal right now through a sense of personal accountability, clarity, and honesty. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our Temperance card. Now, one of the things we have to be a little conscious about is a feeling of potential frustration. I'm going to stress that there may be some feelings of frustration that are coming to the fold right now, specifically around the masculine energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to right now. Why? Because masculine energy is getting very frustrated about anything that is blocking or preventing their manifestation goals right now. Masculine energy is almost moving right now in a space or place where there's a lot of clarity. There's something right now about the masculine energy feeling like the manifestation is very clear right now. This is manifested. The only problem that we're potentially seeing right now that is occurring in the divine union frequency is a masculine energy that wants to move forward and take a lot of fast action very quickly right now. Because we see here that there's the combined energy of masculine, again, feeling like the deeper and deeper they move towards connection with feminine is building or amplifying that desired long-term path or long-term outcome right now. This is the masculine wanting to rush forward and move towards that as quickly as possible. This is feminine taking a little bit more of a slow approach. This is feminine energy almost moving at a point of guidance and advisement with masculine in relation to what the shape of that looks like. So we see even now in the divine union frequency there could be a moment or opportunity that feels like it could be a little bit of a struggle point, even for the energy in the divine union frequency between the masculine wanting to rush forward with some of those manifestation goals and feminine taking a little bit more of a cool down, being a little bit more like advising or moving in a space of having to bring a level or degree of patience towards masculine in relation to not rushing things or to trying to find that pace that feels like it is going to be navigable for both the masculine and the feminine energy. Because what's really important about this right now is for the energy in the divine union, we see the manifestation goal is aligned. It's more about how you get there and the timeline on it that feels like it's a little bit more wibbly. Now, masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union right now, this is the difference of this. This is energy moving into the divine union right now much more quickly than it typically would take. This is energy that's moving into divine union much faster than it may have before. Because what are we seeing here? These are energies that have effectively learned the same lessons. They're on the same pathwork. There's something here that feminine may have even tried to like bring up an obstruction point, something that they thought was going to be like a hurdle. And whatever that hurdle was that masculine is experiencing from the feminine, it's actually creating the opposite effect. There's something here about the masculine saying whatever you see as a hurdle is like a win. This is masculine being like, this is like a celebration point. What are you talking about? Who says that's a hurdle? That's like, sounds like the best possible outcome. It's almost moving the masculine towards the feminine even faster. So again, one of the things we may be seeing right now in divine union, even the energy coming into divine union, is a masculine that's trying to amplify their movement towards the feminine, and feminine almost trying to slow down the masculine's desire to manifestation because feminine's utilizing a little bit more caution. Because this is feminine energy that's experienced places and spaces in the past where masculine moving with that level or degree of intensity often articulated potentially masculine energy that did not necessarily able to maintain that point of consistency in the long term. High priestess energy. See? Slow your roll. Slow your roll, because feminine is not looking for the speed. Feminine's looking for the consistency. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. One of the things that we're identifying and recognizing is feminine energy in separation. This is feeling like a feeling to a certain extent, especially if this is in relation to things or situations where the feminine is walking away from something. A feminine almost feeling like time is running out. This is, again, a feminine that may be seeing and experiencing or feeling right now a masculine that is continuing to potentially push towards them. Feminine articulating a need, but instead of the masculine being able to come towards them with a solution, if this is feminine articulating a need and the masculine, instead of providing a solution, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, is becoming reactionary, trying to throw that back towards the feminine, not looking at the feminine asking for something and seeing that as an opportunity to build with the feminine, but more creating a hostility space or a pushing back space. This is feminine that may be even talking to new masculine energy about that difficulty, about that impossibility vector, about trying to build with someone, but feeling like, again, it's not necessarily work that someone is like trying to build with you, so much as someone is trying to like push away from you, even as they're trying to build towards you in this way. And this is why we see, to a certain extent, even now, feminine having a communication channel in terms of feeling validated by masculine that is, again, potentially seeing something that feels like an impossibility point, and masculine giving them that point of clarity, validating the experience that they're having, is again helping the feminine feel secure in terms of what they're choosing to manifest for themselves at this moment, because it's a building into a point of understanding a desire of not wanting to wait for masculine to learn these lessons, looking for masculine energy that's just ready and willing to come into that point of building forth and guiding forth into the long-term path, as opposed to feeling like they're energetically working with someone who seems like they're pushing against them every step of the way. Masculine, if you are in separation right now, you are simultaneously also potentially going through this right now if at a point of healing. You're potentially looking at situations or circumstances that may have led to separation from you just trying to bring clarity and truth to a circumstance or situation, but instead of it leading to the long-term manifestation goal, it may have led to a point of separation, What do we see masculine is doing through right now? This is masculine either repairing something here with feminine, building that point of repair, or this is masculine energy that is talking to new feminine energy in separation, taking accountability for something that did not go the way that they had intended or aspired to, while also amplifying their long-term path work and goal to feel again. And this is what's really important about a lot of this masculine energy that's doing this work right now. This is masculine energy that may even potentially be articulating to feminine a point of understanding that something about the past experience may have caused something to move into a point of disruption. This is masculine energy almost taking accountability and clarity on their own desire to rush something, potentially of causing a point of losing a manifestation goal here. So we see, in a way, this is masculine energy, even in separation right now, healing. And how is that healing taking place? By observation of masculine energy's own understanding that when they try to rush forward without being on the same page with the feminine, that is not necessarily something that leads to like a mutual manifestation goal, so much as someone is trying to secure their own manifestation goal. So even now, we see that a lot of this masculine energy is coming through at a point of understanding by unpacking experiences of the past with feminine energy. So even now, we see that this is something that's creating a point of correction and coursework. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between High Priestess, King of Wands, and our Knight of Swords. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with Devil in its reversal. We've got a lot of healing that is coming through right now. Masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency. This point of understanding, this point of recognition, even again, this is going to feel like a level or degree of moderation to a certain extent, because this is masculine energy, again, feeling a little bit of that desire to rush forward, but almost pulling themselves back. This is almost masculine, observing and pulling their own self back to a certain extent, is immediately effectively facilitating healing to a certain degree, because this is masculine that's working through working with feminine. What is masculine learning as they work with feminine here? The gift masculine is learning is not allowing themselves to block their own manifestation goals by allowing themselves to rush ahead of the feminine or to move too quickly. This is masculine energy learning that gift of patience at a time that they are feeling profoundly impatient. Feminine energy, you are potentially also learning a bit of this path work too as well, because this is a moment with feminine that you may be feeling like you are being pushed forward a little bit. For feminine, this is also a moment of feminine realizing that ability to push forward right now is also a point of alignment, because recognizing that there's something about the masculine helping you in that way, helping you facilitate that point of activity. That in itself is something that the feminine is learning via the observation of the masculine, that is also leading to a point of healing. Remember how yesterday we saw that the masculine was learning from the feminine in terms of feminine coming into deeper understanding of the self? This is feminine learning how to move with masculine by, again, almost picking up speed. These energies are finding that comfort point in terms of how to move forward, and it's coming through the point of planning. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This point of clarification is coming specifically around situations or circumstances that feminine may have thought were going to create impossibility vectors for masculine energy. If there's something that feminine articulated to masculine that they thought or may have led to feminine being in separation in the past, what we're seeing here that's leading to energy moving into divine union so quickly right now is masculine energy almost hearing something from a feminine that the feminine is articulating as a negative, and it's almost moving the masculine to the feminine even faster, being like, are you kidding me? That's exactly like, that is not a negative. That is such a positive that it's almost encouraging the masculine to move towards the feminine faster right now. So again, the level or degree of pacing is coming through, even in this, even on the outskirts right now, because it's the energy of the masculine. The more they're coming into union with the feminine, it's like anything that they're hearing doesn't feel like a negative. It just feels like all of it is a bigger yes than the yes before. Feminine slowing things down to a certain extent, because feminine is experiencing situations and circumstances where, again, feminine wants to see masculine being in a point of consistency and recognizing that masculine own excitement is something that feminine wants to make sure that there's a moderation point on here, because feminine is really feeling that weight of wanting to understand, identify the difference of a masculine that's able to maintain a point of consistency in relation to the desire to come towards the feminine, versus situations or circumstances from the past wherein feminine may have felt that immediate rush or desire to move towards them that didn't necessarily last in the long term. Masculine and feminine right now in separation. This is feminine moving towards new masculine energy in some way or another, clarifying and articulating and speaking towards masculine potentially on experiences that they're currently either presently having with masculine energy or experiences from past circumstances with masculine energy. And that experience is effectively immediately resolving and healing. Because again, the difference and the articulation point that feminine may be experiencing right now in separation is seeing masculine energy that looks at a problem and seeks out a solution, works with feminine to help determine a solution, versus a masculine energy that may just try to push towards feminine from a point of resistance, almost coming more in terms of something that feels more aggressive or feels more reactionary or feels more defensive. And this is feminine getting help from healed masculine energy to navigate the energy of masculine that may be feeling more like they're coming towards them from a vector that, while it may be a driving towards them, it doesn't necessarily feel like it's positive. This is how the healing's being facilitated right now for feminine energy and separation. Getting validated on what they're observing through other positive healed masculine energy. Masculine energy, if you yourself are in separation right now due to coming to a point of honesty and openness with feminine, if you are bringing a point of clarity to feminine, this could be a moment that, again, you are either unpacking. This is either a point of healing that's coming through for masculine in separation, or this is coming through as masculine unpacking situations from the past with new feminine energy. Because what we're effectively seeing right now is this is either masculine energy taking accountability for their own hot-headedness, for your own ability potentially in the past to move more from a point of personal desire, as opposed to thinking about the energy together that is allowing and facilitating a point of healing, because this is articulating the shift that some of the energy of masculine and separation is having right now, looking at the past version of self and saying, I know what I should have done now. I know what led to that separation point. The clarity is here, and I see it via my own experience from the place that I am now. That is leading and facilitating new opportunities through healing, through clarity, transparency, and healing. Or this is masculine energy if led into separation by trying to bring clarity and openness towards a feminine that rejected them in that way. This is feminine energy that's new energetic connections with masculine, saying and being validated and saying, I understand what you were trying to do. I'm validating an experience that I see that you were trying to do the right thing, even if it was misaligned. So even now we see that there's a lot of healing that's coming through in the masculine, even at a point of separation right now. But even now, there is something really important that's happening in the masculine mentality in terms of feeling, getting that sense of being validated may be creating a feeling or a frustration point that may even be feeling like you have to rein in your own sense of aggressiveness in terms of feeling motivated to take action on something, but instead, again, looking towards feminine and building that point of mutual desired outcome and building together, as opposed to moving in your own singular desire or sense of righteousness. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our Knight of Swords in combination with our Moon card, we've got Three of Wands in its reversal. Now, this is the thing that we're seeing right now that is feeling so important. Masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency. This point of clarity, this point of observation is building a sense of understanding in terms of what is and is not possible at this moment. And one of the things that we're seeing right now that's potentially happening, that is really, even in the divine union frequency, needs to be navigated right now. Masculine is almost seeking a point of clarity from feminine in relation to what they aspire to and desire in terms of long-term manifestation goals. This is masculine almost trying to say to the feminine in the divine union frequency, this is not about me just moving towards my own personal manifestation. It requires our joint accountability, our ability to both see forward in this way. And this is even why we see now there could be an energy of masculine trying to encourage and push forward to feminine, probing, asking questions to feminine to get clarity on something that the masculine wants to get clarity on, because we saw the fact that feminine is moving in more of a reserved way right now. That reservation point is something that masculine's trying to amplify to the feminine to a certain extent, and almost saying there's no way we can build forward unless we're both being completely honest with one another. So we even see here that there's something that's really important about this right now that may be creating a little bit of triggered energy for masculine at this time in relation to having that point of clarity between what the masculine is trying to manifest versus what the feminine is trying to manifest, to make sure that there is that mutual accountability and alignment. Feminine, you may be seeing and experiencing this right now on the part of masculine, and you may be seeing to a certain extent that there's something about this that may be creating a little bit of a difficulty vortex here, because this is masculine wanting to move, wanting to take action a lot faster right now than the feminine energy. And we're seeing here that this is the feminine almost feeling to a certain degree like if there's something here that they're trying to slow down, it's requiring some point of clarification. It's requiring some point of understanding. It's requiring to have to be able to lay out to the masculine what your own limitation vector is if you guys are both on the same page. And this is the masculine trying to move forward and feminine trying to slow things down. So we see even now there's a lot of nuance in relation to clarity and path work forward right now that even the energy in the divine union frequency is navigating. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency. This is the closing off of other channels is what we're effectively seeing. Because what did we effectively see is happening right now? A lot of energy that's moving into divine union. This understanding, this limitation point, this ability right now, feminine seeing a masculine where they may have brought up something that was creating an obstruction point for some energy in the past. And this not necessarily even being a blip on the masculine's like radar. This is something that the masculine just like immediately overcomes. It's not even like a problem zone. Feminine seeing this right now is almost the closing out of any karmic cycle that was utilizing that obstruction point, but still trying to maintain connection. Because this is feminine energy getting deeper clarity on past experiences through immediate connection with masculine that is moving towards feminine with such clarity, with such driven purpose, that even now that is building a sense of understanding in the feminine and the difference of an energy that feels like it's moving in the same direction with you with the same amount of vitality, even more so than you yourself, versus energy that may have potentially constantly put up roadblocks in relation to being able to build forth in this way. So we see even now for the feminine energy that's moving into divine union, this feels somewhat bittersweet because the clarity of the present is amplifying what was not received in the past. So this is that moment that feels like a little bit like, again, you're doing double coursework, because even as you're having this moment of coming into divine union, it's amplifying the experiences of the past where things were not moving with this level or degree of consistency and intensity. Masculine, if you're moving towards a feminine in this way, and this is a feminine that feels like they're slowing things down, it may be creating a point of anxiety for you, but you were seeing here that this is why the feminine might be trying to slow things down right now if you're coming into divine union, because feminine feels the anxiety of masculine that may have that immediate rush or desire to want to come towards feminine with the anxiety about whether that is going to be consistent and stable. So what is masculine doing right now to help amplify this? This is masculine almost doubling down on that consistency to show the feminine, I am healed. This is not something that I'm doing that is performative. This is me showing you that these hurdles, that these obstructions, this is just how I move. This is what you can expect from me, not just today, not just tomorrow, but every day, that this is not necessarily a performative act. This is the level of intensity that I bring to situations and experiences, because this is the amplification of masculine trying to say to feminine, I'm not just moving towards you from a state of personal desire. I am trying to build with you. And how is masculine articulating that? Masculine is articulating that by laying plans with the feminine in the long term, helping the feminine work on those manifestation goals, and showing feminine to a certain extent, whatever that energy was in the past, I am not that energy, because I am not trying to hide from you what that future goal is with a question mark. I am building it with you right now. The present becomes the future because we are taking action steps right now to move us towards those spaces. And even now with masculine, this is masculine coming into divine union, that a lot of energy around you is effectively coming. It's like, I want to say it like almost is creating a sense that may feel like a narrowing to a certain extent in masculine's own purpose and goals, because this is masculine moving into divine union and feeling to a certain extent that feminine is the destination. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This energy of separation, this is why we see that there's so much energy that's potentially coming into new energetic connections right now. Because what are we seeing right now? Feminine in separation, feeling validated in the choices that they made, potentially going through a release process right now, even potentially having some energy around them right now of masculine that's becoming more reactionary about the circumstance or situation, but feminine not looking for a point of reactivity. This is feminine pleading to a certain extent with masculine energetically to come towards them with solutions, not just anger or frustration about the circumstances. So we see here that this is feminine getting validation on that from masculine energy, which is either, again, a masculine energy taking accountability and planning forth in new ways with feminine, or this is feminine energy articulating upon the circumstances with new masculine energy that is validating the experience that feminine is having with some of this masculine energy that doesn't feel like it's coming into the full understanding of healing, because it's moving with feminine towards feminine with aggression and excitement, but not with clarity about the path forward and how to fix something. So we see here that even now feminine is moving into a healing cycle in separation. Masculine is also going through a healing cycle in separation right now, because masculine, you're getting clarity either, again, about how past experiences, your own excitement, your own over ambition on something without moving in alignment with the feminine may have led you to have a blockage in terms of being able to build with the feminine. That point of personal observation is helping you recognize the difference between moving with the sense of personal desire versus actually moving in the heart of divine union, because the divine union requires collaboration and mutual accountability. So this is masculine energy that's either taking accountability to a feminine and saying, I observed that my rashness was feeling somewhat one-sided and was blocking a possibility of us building together right now. Or this is masculine energy articulating to feminine about how they tried to come towards a feminine with that openness, with that clarity, but their clarity at a time towards the feminine did not lead to an open channel towards a manifestation goal. It led to a separation point because the feminine did not share their desired manifestation goal. So we see even now masculine is also receiving healing and separation. Continuing to get clarification right now between our moon card in its reversal and our 10 of cups. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our double 10 cards today. Huge breakthroughs today between, look at these cards right now. Look at these cards in combination. We've got double 10s, 10 of cups, 10 of wands in its reversal, and the moon card in its reversal. This is saying to us that there is a lot of conversation that's happening right now to act as road openers. This is road opening exercises to amplify and expedite long-term manifestation goals. So this is why we see even now in the divine union frequency, there may be a lot of energetic unpacking that is happening now to almost see and say, what can we do to make things easier? What clarity needs to be happening right now? What can we do to make that long-term manifestation goal the present experience? How do we take that and bring it here? How do we do that sooner rather than later effectively is what we're almost seeing here. Masculine and feminine bringing a lot of clarity into focus right now to make sure that there's alignment even in the divine union frequency. A lot of potential energetic working through on this right now, because this is trying to find mutual path work that's going to be based on timelines. It's not about the manifestation goal. It's about the timing of things and how to align on the timing. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This point of clarity, this is energy moving very quickly into divine union. This is energy that is moving. This is going to feel like a lot of breakthrough energy. And again, it's coming through in a breakthrough point in something that may have felt more oppositional in the past, now not being an oppositional point. It's almost feeling like that opposition point in the past is like a power boost. It's like the moment that you recognize and realize that when you are moving in alignment with energy that is moving in the same direction as you, something that someone may have held as an anchor in the past, something that someone may have said was like the hindrance points, something that someone was saying, I can't because of X, is the exact reason now the energy is saying, no, because of that, we're moving full systems blast. You're bringing forth the thing that I needed to see. You're giving me the thing that I've been waiting to discover. So that ability is recognizing the value point of coming into divine union that's rushing energy forward, because something that someone was holding as a negative is someone being like, are you kidding me? That's exactly the thing I need. That's exactly the part I was looking for. Let's continue forward in this way. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is why we see that even now that separation point is leading to an amplification and rushing forward towards your long-term manifestation goal. What did I tell you is happening for a lot of energy in separation right now? That anxiety, that threshold energy of having to let go of what doesn't serve you to move closer to what does. It felt like a difficult release process, but for a lot of the energy in that release process, that release was more coming into a point of acceptance around the truth of situations and circumstances right now. And that is why that release process is almost immediately bringing a point of catharsis, because that point of clarity is being reached here in understanding what doesn't work, that is leading you in the direction now. It's almost speeding you back up. It's putting you back on the path that can help you get back onto the manifestation goal that you are aspiring and desiring towards. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 10 of Cups in combination with our Temperance card in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with the 8 of Pentacles. It either works or it doesn't. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's kind of taking a lot of this energy right now that we're seeing is taking a little bit of a brass tacks on something. Either something works or it doesn't. Either something is productive or it's not. Masculine and feminine energy right now in the divine union frequency. This is coming into a place of deep practicality. So there may be a lot of conversations right now about things that are happening that while they may be navigable, they don't necessarily feel like they're practical. So this need or desire to move into a state of heightened practicality is almost going to come through right now for the energy in the divine union in finding things that feel like they're just more, I'm going to say like, energetically efficient, if you will, because this is almost, again, trying to like clear something away that feels like it is convoluted or unnecessary to get to something that feels like it is a lot more practical. So we see that a lot of the energy today in the divine union frequency may be talking about what can be facilitated upon sooner rather than later that is going to lead to heightened degrees or levels of practicality. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency. There's a lot of energy just moving into the divine union frequency. Like this is going to feel like, again, almost that energetic feeling of like, wow, this feels effortless. This feels effortless because it's that sense of effortlessness that comes when two energies are moving in the same direction. When two people are doing the work feels halved. When two people are working towards the joy, together, the joy multiplies. That ability right now in recognizing that feeling of, again, the easement that happens when you're both moving in the same direction and the amplification of the joy, it starts to feel effortless. So we're seeing that a lot of energy is moving into that harmonic right now, which is what we love to see at this time, because it's feeling like it's almost like that movement that you don't even have to think about it. It just feels like it's falling into place. So we love to see this right now because this is saying that there's a lot of energy that is moving into the divine union frequency at this time. And it's going to feel a little bit shocking because it feels like it's effortless. Masculine and feminine In separation right now, this is that moment that is feeling like a release process. And this is almost, again, in a way, it's kind of saying, I'm not going to do anything to break something. I'm just going to stay in my lane and keep working on my manifestation. If the energy wants to find me, they know where to find me. And that ability right now is almost being validated for the energy in separation. Because this is energy that's not waiting for connectivity to work towards their manifestation goal. To a certain extent, this is energy almost saying to the energy around them, you know where I'll be. I'll be over here working on this stuff. If you want to join me, by all means you can. But this is also an energy that's almost saying energetically, this is how the karma is being released. I'm going this way. I'm going to keep working in this capacity. If you want to join me, you can, but I cannot wait any longer for you to decide that you want to follow me on this path. So we see even now that this is going to feel like a lot of energy that's just kind of moving or going through the motions, working on their own sense of the manifestation goal. And there's that recognition point of feeling like when you're energetically in alignment, the energy that's finding you on that path will know where to find you. So even now in separation, there's even something that's happening in terms of talking to other energy about the fact that you're doing this that is getting validated, because it's almost like that energetic alignment in terms of energy, like telling them, masculine and feminine in separation right now, no, I understand exactly what you're doing. You need energy that feels like it's working with you, not working against you. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Devil card in its reversal and our Three of Wands in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with, this is why we see so much energy right now is just going into a process of release. And this is why even now that process of release, it may be feeling like it's doing the right thing, but it's really emotionally difficult. It's really spiritually difficult, because this is a moment that we're seeing here, that release process energetically, it is healing. There's a feeling that we're seeing in separation right now of effectively doing what you know is best for oneself, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it is easy. Because we're seeing here that this is energy that is effectively potentially releasing connections that they aspired and desired to want to come into a point of healing. But an observation point is effectively coming through to a certain extent and feeling to a certain level or degree that the time is up in terms of waiting for something to reach that level. It either needs to be there or it doesn't. And this is why even now that energetic moment is almost coming into a point of looking at someone and saying, that's almost like, I'm going to say in a way, this release process almost feels like a cry for help. Particularly from a feminine energy that's almost saying to the masculine, I don't want to let you go, but I can't take, I'm being overwhelmed in terms of what this is requiring in order to keep this in a point of sustainability and balance. This is why we see energetically right now so much of the energy in separation may even be talking to other masculine energy about the difficulties or hurdles that they're experiencing with masculine energy that's not necessarily meeting that need, but instead coming through at a point of reactivity, at a point of this cry for help that's effectively happening right now energetically to some of the feminine energy. Almost saying, I don't want to release you, but can you see that your own hostility is creating a space where you're not coming through with a solution to this need that I'm experiencing? You're just meeting it with more hostility. Like that in itself is almost expressing and amplifying the fact that energetically some energy is walking away from what feels like a wound that cannot be repaired at this time. Which is why we see in a way that ability to walk away from something is almost coming through to a certain extent to try to say, if I stay in the space that unhealed, I am effectively allowing you to remain unhealed. I am facilitating this to remain unhealthy. I am facilitating you to be in a place that you are hurting. So even now we see that a lot of this energy right now of doing this, it feels like an act of like profound stoicism to a certain extent, because it's letting go of something that you care about tremendously, but also amplifying this feeling that you can't fix something, or you can't be the one to only bring the good into a circumstance or situation. Energetically masculine and feminine at this time, moving into this space of healing. And there may be a lot of connections right now where there's a lot of openness, maybe even energy saying, I'm not ready yet. And I have to stress what we're seeing here. This is almost energy that feels like they're trying to amplify the other one. I'm not ready to commit yet. I'm not ready because I'm still dealing with this presently. But guess what? This is exactly why these energetic unions are going to happen, because your own ability to be open and honest and express what you're currently going through is showing the fact that you're energetically connecting with the energy that knows how to heal it. because you're opening up and you're being able to walk through the karmic healing that you're supposed to be doing with the other energy, with the energy that is ready and equipped to heal it because they're already on the path with you. Masculine and feminine, this is why this is almost going to feel potentially like, again, unions that are coming through a cycle of grieving. Because this is, again, walking away from something with the aspiration of hoping to have healed something and feeling in a way that you've come into a failure point. But look who you find along the way. You find energy that goes, same. I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're experiencing. Feminine's coming through and saying, I tried to come into a union with someone that was pushing me away. And I asked them to be open and they wouldn't be open. They wouldn't tell me how they felt. They wouldn't tell me what we were building towards. Masculine coming towards feminine and saying, I tried to be open with feminine. I tried to tell them the truth of what I aspired for. They rejected me for it. Energetically, both of them reaching an exhaustion point. And at that point of exhaustion, where do we find ourselves? Breakthrough. Masculine and feminine, this is why we see that there's so much energy that is moving into a point of catharsis, because the divine union will feel like a cathartic act. It is feeling like a safe haven. It is finding you potentially at your energetic lowest. But is it leaving you there? No. It is amplifying and showing you how what you're walking away from was not energetically supporting you in the way that it was requiring or desiring to. It was requiring you to pour all of your effort and energy into something that was not meeting it back in kind. So even now, it feels like it feels like you're doing double path work if you come into divine union, because it's that release process and feeling like what didn't serve you that helped you find what does. Recognizing that that healing is coming through is almost a moment of sharing the trauma or the pain that caused you to find one another in the first place. And even now, it may be feeling for both energies emotionally overwhelming, because as you build that pathwork with the energy that feels like it's supporting you, it's just amplifying what wasn't serving you. It's amplifying the limitation point. It's amplifying what needed to be released that is leading you to a place that feels like it is restorative. It's like being able to move out of a space and fully experiencing the pain of a wound that is now not constantly being opened. Masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency, this moment is looking at any situations that are creating something that feels like they are emotionally overwhelming right now, to be able to facilitate something that feels like it is more productive. Masculine specifically right now is potentially working with feminine to try to find things that are efficient, trying to bring that long-term manifestation goal into the present sooner rather than later. Feminine trying to move into a place. This is all about timing right now for the energy coming into divine union, because this is masculine wanting to move forward with a lot of expediency right now. Feminine wanting to slow something down, trying to find what is mutually going to feel energetically balanced. Is that difficulty right now, because while these energies are assisting each other, they are in a way, even in the divine union, pulling in a little bit opposite directions. So trying to work on this right now is potentially going to take a little bit of nuance and difficult discussions. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now between our 3 of Wands in its reversal in combination with our 10 of Wands in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? 2 cards coming out to clarify right now. What am I talking about with efficiencies today? This is all about getting to the practical right now. This is really looking at something. Energetically, I have to stress, this is why we're seeing this. Remember how I told you for the energy right now in the divine union frequency, there are circumstances and situations that are being laid out that feel like they're more like hurdles. They're not deal breakers. They're just feeling like annoying hurdles, things that are getting in the way, things that are energetically blocking the connection of divine union. This is all about trying to overcome those hurdles. How to make something easier. How to make something easier. How to make something easier sooner rather than later. How to bring the manifestation goal into fruition now as opposed to later. And a lot of this is taking a lot of accountability and conversation to ascertain what can be moved into a more efficient space. What are the blockages? What are the holdups? what is creating an impasse in having whatever that long-term manifestation goal is to be here. And even now, it's going to be a little bit more of a difficult conversation because masculine wants to really lead the charge on this right now. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Feminine is taking more of a slow approach. That is what we're seeing right now. Now, masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency. This is the energetic equivalent of energy moving into divine union very quickly right now. We got all the planets direct. I'm not necessarily surprised to see this right now. There's a moment, I have to stress here, some energy is coming into combination. They're coming into union right now. And it's funny. I'm going to tell you why it's funny right now. Because energetically, these energies are basically saying to each other, we're going to go really slow. I'm recovering from something. I'm not ready. We're going to go really slow. No, you're not. You're in divine union. Your ability right now, can you just recognize two energies that are going like, oh yeah, we're going to slow things down? It's rushing masculine forward. Seeing a feminine that's like, let's take it slow. I need to heal. Masculine being like, I need to heal too. When can I come over to you as quickly as possible? Like even now, these two energies, like it's like that resistance matrix is feeling like a level or degree of inevitability that's coming into something because it's like something is so easy right now that masculine is just moving towards it more and more and more. Feminine is trying to slow something down a little bit. But again, it's almost because the vector itself feels like an inevitability matrix that's happening here in terms of like the connection point through a point of healing is feeling like the energy is inevitably finding itself right now. Remember I told you it was almost like those pinpricks of things that are getting pushed towards themselves at this time? Now, masculine and feminine in separation right now. What we're effectively seeing is that moment is a point of, again, this is the release process that we're seeing energetically for some of the energy right now in relation to circumstances or situations. For feminine energy right now, that process of letting go, it simply doesn't even feel like the feminine energy is trying to close out a cycle. Feminine has effectively said what they needed to say, asked masculine for what they need from them, and then feminine is effectively just stepping back to see if masculine can deliver upon it. Some of the feminine energy right now in separation is feeling the validation point in having asked masculine to come towards them with solutions, but instead of coming forward towards them with solutions, some of this masculine energy is coming forward more to point of reactivity or hostility. In a way, it's just amplifying and validating to the feminine that there's something here that feels like a cycle that's coming to a close, especially because feminine is getting validated right now by positive masculine energy that is also reflecting and amplifying that the feminine is making the right choice in this regard. Masculine energy and separation right now, your own ability of feeling like, again, either taking accountability, going towards feminine right now, being able to ascertain a place or space where you may have moved too quickly, beyond the feminine energy's own comfort level, coming into a point of remuneration, being able to come into a point of healing is almost immediately coming into a point of deeper acceptance because you're coming through with that solution, that pathwork, that plan. You're showing the feminine that you're effectively ready to move towards them as opposed to moving against them. While for other masculine energy right now, if this is a moment that you yourself came towards feminine from a point of openness, clarity, and it led to a point of rejection, this is also a moment that we see that masculine is being validated by feminine energy where they're being open and honest with them and the feminine is validating their experience. And that in itself is allowing for a level or degree of masculine moving forward as well, because this is masculine energy that is, again, it doesn't feel so much like the masculine is trying to push against this. It's almost feeling like masculine is learning that lesson. And they're either taking that lesson now in accountability that they're expressing to the new feminine energy, in terms of showing them that they recognize what they did wrong in the past and being able to remunerate or fix it in the future, is leading immediately to new breakthroughs in the present. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 10 of Wands in its reversal in combination with our 8 of Pentacles. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Hangman. And this is why we see energetically right now, the energy in the divine union. This is all about the moderation in terms of timing. We see right now energetically, there may be a lot of conversations right now about what is holding up any plans going forward. Because what we're effectively identifying right now is the difference, I have to stress this, between, and I have to show you, the difference between what feels like it is an inconvenience versus something that is requiring or allowing for a level or degree of understanding. And this is the difference that we're seeing right now in relation to masculine and feminine energy. Bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. And it could even lead to some difficult conversations, even in the energy of divine union at this time. Because again, what do we have here? Masculine wanting to rush forward, wanting to bring those long-term manifestation goals into play as soon as possible. Feminine slowing things down, taking more of a wait and see approach. So this is masculine and feminine trying to identify what that amount of distance is. What is that? Being able to put a quantifiable point on it to identify the difference between something that is moving into a point of easement at some point in time versus something that is indefinitely going to stay in a state or space that it currently resides in. So even now, building that point of clarity, it's going to take a little bit of work. It's going to take a little bit of difficult conversation and nuance, even for the energy and divine union right now. But it is allowing for an easement of productivity, because with the clarification becomes an understanding if someone needs to be patient here on how long they are being patient. The difference between something that feels like an indefinite impatience point versus something that has some point of breakthrough that is articulated upon and observable. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union. This is energy moving into divine union very quickly, because this is that moment, and you might not, this is going to feel almost inevitable to a certain extent. And it's also going to potentially feel painful, because there's something that's happening here that feels like it's immediately facilitating progress, but it's also experiencing a moment of better understanding on what was energetically holding you in a place of pain in the past. That a point, it's like point counterpoint right now. The energy is feeling supported, moving into divine union right now, in experiencing and feeling something that moves so fluidly, with such ease, with such mutual desire in terms of the direction it heads in, that it amplifies the past experiences wherein someone stayed somewhere longer because someone wasn't necessarily moving in the same direction or with the same capacity or ability. So even now, there's something about this becoming a trauma-informed experience, because it is experiencing and feeling the full weight of the past, and that point in the path work where you may have felt like you couldn't get that point of progress, but instead it was almost holding you captive in something that was uncomfortable, that is now allowing for that breakthrough point at the same time of experiencing or being re-triggered on the misery that you may have had to experience or hold forth on, that you were hoping would have that type of breakthrough. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is why energetically right now you may be feeling like you are in a bit of a limbo point, because we see here that you are still being caught in some of the karmic energy of the past, that feeling of wanting to hold forth in something and asking if something can truly change, versus now potentially feeling like you are moving back in a productive space. So what we are seeing right now energetically, it feels like the energy in separation, it's painful, but it's also productive, because someone feels like they're finally moving forward, like their path is being cleared right now. But at the same time, there's still this question about whether they feel like one should wait, whether there still can be a breakthrough around something if one stays a little bit longer. So we see, in a way, this is almost feeling like someone weighing the cost-benefit analysis right now in terms of something that they have been waiting for something to come into a fruition point on, versus the path work that's presently opening, that's showing in a way that it's willing and able to bring in that manifestation sooner rather than later. So even now, this in separation, it's feeling like breakthrough with a lot of pain and emotional overwhelm in what one needs to relinquish, that one would have almost like waited, like would have been willing to go through the pain of enduring, so long as it led to that productive opportunity forward. And amplifying right now the difference between these energies right now is why we see in separation, it could be feeling like a deep release process, and even now a questioning, because one is asking oneself again, is it worth waiting on something? Is there a possibility of something coming into a point of easement? Or is this a moment that is requiring a point of separation to move towards that manifestation goal? Clarification coming through right now. Look at these cards between our Ace of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Nine of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Nine of Cups in its reversal. We've got double nines and double tens here today, my friends. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with Seven of Pentacles. This is the problem with a lot of these circumstances or situations right now, even that moment of separation, which is the fact that a lot of these energies right now that are moving forward, it's coming from a point of exhaustion. It's coming from a point of deep grief, because it's almost that moment of someone asking oneself if they should wait longer, but also looking at a situations and circumstances where someone may feel like they've already given something a considerable amount of time, effort, and energy to come into a sense of balance. And this is why we see right now that even at this moment, this energetic path work can feel so overwhelming, because this is the moment of effectively wanting or desiring something to come into a fruition point, but feeling almost that weight of saying, if one hasn't experienced that breakthrough and it's been a considerable amount of time, perhaps that breakthrough isn't coming. Perhaps the pain of the experience is the experience, that there isn't necessarily an easement point. It's just amplifying what you are getting from the circumstance or situation. This is why we see right now there's this moment of almost needing to release something, because it's the feeling and the weight of holding something with the aspiration of something changing or coming into fruition, versus coming into a point of acceptance and understanding that maybe the thing that you're waiting on isn't coming through. Maybe that anxiety, that pain, that doubt, maybe that's all that's coming from something, because something isn't coming into a point of balance. So we see even now that weight, that value point is feeling so difficult, because it's that feeling of everything that it may have taken, all of the time and effort that one may have put into something. It is feeling that sense of, do I stay and continue to hope that something is going to improve? Or do I accept that the only thing that I know is consistent is the lack of the positive coming forth? Is this almost a game that feels like it's just always like something that I'm waiting for to come into a state of positivity or balance? Or is this just the nature of that situation and circumstance? And this is why we see so much of this energy of release is coming through, because this is almost energetically, the energy in separation right now is almost saying, I am releasing something with the hope and aspiration that when it is truly ready to bring forth in this way, it will know where to find me. Masculine and feminine. This is why we see now, for the energy coming into divine union, a lot of this feels like energetic overwhelm, because it's not releasing the pain of the past. It's actually holding it forth. It's potentially finding one another at a point that you may have experienced situations and circumstances where you put a lot of considerable time, effort, and energy in hoping something would really come into a point of balance. And it almost feels like a way, it's like that moment of defeat or surrender is there, because it's almost that moment of finding one another and saying, like, I feel like I failed in some capacity. I feel like there was something I wasn't able to do. And what is the energy saying to the other one? I don't see any failure point in you. I feel like whatever you're holding on to that you consider a failure point is showing me something that you should have released. And what is we seeing here? The energy is moving almost immediately into divine union, because this is energy saying, anything you're saying to me is a negative. Anything you're saying is like that impossibility vector that caused a problem in the past. This is all showing me that this is fertile ground to grow. Everything you're saying to me is green. Everything you're saying to me is productive. These things that you're showing me are all value points, because this is almost that point of observation that, like, if you bring something positive into a negative space, the positive won't get amplified. It'll just look out of place. As I said again, for the people in the back, when you bring positive into a negative space, it's never going to amplify that positive. It's going to make the positive look out of place. And that moment of observation, moving into it, it doesn't experience or remove that experience. It helps build that sense of feeling like you are coming into a state of alignment, while also holding that state of pain in the places and spaces that you may have hoped to grow in this way, but were effectively showing that they weren't necessarily in alignment. So even now, that point of understanding, it feels like a process of grieving and release that brought you into this moment of productivity. So if you're feeling that back and forth right now, if you're coming into divine union, this is effectively why. Masculine and feminine right now that are in the heart of the divine union, this is all about coming into deeper efficiencies. This is looking at situations and circumstances right now and looking at, again, there's something about the recentness of like practicalities that currently have come up that are almost like looking at things that are creating almost unnecessary frustrations. So this ability to look and say, how do we remove these frustrations, is allowing for a lot of planning. And the planning is coming through right now. Masculine wants to move forward faster. Feminine wants to slow it down. How are they finding that solution? Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Planning. Putting a timeline on something. Building those plans. Putting them into play. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Between our Nine of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Hangman. Clarification coming through right now with our Wheel of Fortune in its upright. And this is what we're effectively seeing. Masculine and feminine energy right now. This is all about coming into better alignment, even in the divine union frequency. There's something that may have come up over the last period of time that we're seeing that may have created a frustration point. So what, and we even saw that there was, again, remember that same level of impracticality that was fortifying the energy coming into divine union, the outside hurdles that were building the connective tissue for the energy in divine union versus separating energy. For the energy in the divine union frequency, it wasn't feeling like it was ground testing the divine union frequency because it's already there. It just feels like they are inconveniences. It feels like they're unnecessary hurdles. So identifying and almost utilizing this time right now to assess what is something that considers has to be a necessary inconvenience right now versus something that can be immediately changed. This is being amplified right now. This is that moment that is amplifying the difference of what one needs to be patient on versus what is the time to change right now. So there could be a lot of conversation happening right now in the divine union frequency about making the necessary changes, about what can be moved forward on sooner rather than later, because it feels in a way there's some circumstances and situations that are happening for the energy in divine union that are almost reaching an inviability point because of the frustrations that are potentially being caused around unnecessary inconveniences. So even now, that point of understanding is helping to perfect the energy in the divine union frequency in amplifying the coursework going forward. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency. This is some energy coming into divine union frequency very quickly. This is energy right now that's almost feeling like a bit of a breakthrough energy and relation. Because what are we seeing here? This is feminine, and this is what we see for the energy in divine union. What's happening for the energy in divine union? Feminine's trying to slow things down. Masculine's trying to move forward. Feminine's trying to slow things down. Masculine's trying to move forward. That ability here, to a certain extent, is also coming through for the energy in the divine union frequency, because this is almost energy that we're seeing that was like, we said that we were going to go slow, but there's almost like nothing to go slow on because what's happening feels so natural, it almost feels inevitable. And even now, that sense is like that feeling feels like that point in recognizing what was requiring so much effort to maintain versus something that feels so easy. You know, what's the easement doing? It's amplifying the places in the past that made that easement point seem like such an impossibility vector. So even now, it's like this is where the healing has to come through. It's like now it's like almost like being able to start healing from something that created that space of pain in the moment of experiencing something that feels like it's productive. It's like observing something and being like, oh my gosh, I need to heal from that. Even as you're coming into divine union, you might not have even seen it before. You didn't even know it was there because you didn't know it was there because you were in the middle of experiencing it. You can't heal from something if you're still experiencing it. Masculine and feminine coming in separation right now. This is why we see that there's something that energetically feels like an inevitability point in terms of having to move forward right now. Because a lot of this that we're seeing right now for the energy in separation is almost reaching a point of emotional or spiritual exhaustion. That's what's so painful about some of this energy right now. It's almost that moment of feeling like one does not want to release something, but almost feeling the energetic equivalent of having reached your full limitation point in what one can stand energetically right now. And even now, the energy that may have been trying so hard in this way is feeling the guilt, is feeling the guilt of letting go of something that was hurting them. Because it's almost like the energy is feeling guilty that they couldn't put up with more pain, that they couldn't put up with more difficulty. This is almost the energy feeling the equivalent of shaming their own self and saying, well, maybe if I just endured something awful a little bit longer, it would have become positive. So even now, the energy recognizing that they're saying that to themselves and getting support from energy around them saying, do you understand what it sounds like? That you're saying, it was awful, but maybe if I put up with something that was awful a little bit longer, it would become good, is almost like the energy getting the equivalent of saying, maybe it's time to let go of that. If the barometer on holding on to something is becoming a question on how much pain one can endure to stay in it, that's that moment that we're almost seeing is creating the breakthrough energetically and saying, I need to let this go. Because that's that moment of saying things must have reached, that's the culmination point in one's own energetic experience, that you say that to yourself and say, what am I doing? Like that, if the barometer hasn't even become how much joy something has brought, but how much more pain one can endure, that is that moment that someone's saying, I have to let this go. So we see even now there's that feeling of inevitability and emotionality that's coming through on this, because it's that feeling like one can't do anything else to repair something, but almost taking that point of vulnerability and saying, if someone else wants to fix it, they know where to find me. And that's allowing that cycle to move forward. Final card for today's spread, between our Seven of Pentacles in combination with our Wheel of Fortune. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. We love to see this Queen as our final card for today. We have here our Queen of Pentacles. For feminine energy specifically right now, if in separation, this is this moment that feels very difficult, especially for the energy in separation, because feminine is getting support right now for a lot of their choices and recognizing, and again, this is a feminine energy, if coming into separation, that is in a way honoring their own self. Because in a way, there's something that's being amplified for the energy of the feminine in separation, that's almost validating that the feminine energy's gift in a circumstance or situation, and especially if this is a feminine energy that's pulled back and all they've done is pull back and suddenly it feels like that's energetically vanished. This is feminine energy that's building that sense of support for themselves in terms of saying, I created that stability. That stability was not something that you were seeking from the outside energy. Your own ability to maintain and create a sustainable space is a badge of honor. It is a gift. It is, and almost the energy around the feminine, almost showing them to a certain extent, saying, do you see what you created in a space where most people cannot make anything grow? Your gift in these circumstances was taking something that looked inviable and creating a lush environment. And in fact, you pulling away from something that isn't meeting back in that way doesn't take away your ability to do so. It takes away the fact that you are the only person cultivating that energy. So even now we see in a certain way, this is feminine energy calling back their own energy in this way to basically say the desire is to find someone that is also going to look at relationships with the role of a constant gardener, as opposed to someone that's just coming in to take something and leave. This is feminine saying, I need someone that is going to garden with me. I need someone that's going to cultivate with me. I need someone that's going to grow with me, that doesn't just look at the partnership as a space that they come and go as they please. This isn't the giving tree. Masculine energy, if you are in separation, this is a moment that you may also be feeling if in separation. You may be talking right now with new feminine connections in terms of identifying and saying, I was trying to grow with someone. I tried to show them the full expanse of what I wanted to create. They pushed me away. I also recognize potentially, again, if this is masculine coming into a point of repair with feminine, this is masculine saying, I observe that in the past I may have moved rashly. I did not understand what I needed to bring forth to partnership, that I need to cultivate, that I need to protect, that I need to curate what I have with you. Because if I don't, there will be the day that I come towards you and that door will be closed. So even now, that ability of masculine, recognizing this is either a lesson that is coming through from a past experience in terms of recognizing that what you need to put forth is what you will grow, versus masculine coming into new energetic connections with the feminine, that you're feeling a deep alignment in terms of the path work, because this is a feminine energy that's also almost expressing something to you that you're saying was that they were saying was an inviolability point in their last partnership, and you're almost trying to show the feminine and saying, are you kidding me? Everything you're saying to me is a positive. The only problem that you're experiencing was the fact that you weren't working with someone that wanted to grow with you. They just wanted to take. So even now we see that the energy is coming into divine union right now. There is this grounding energy that's coming through, and it does feel bittersweet. Because even at that moment that you're feeling like you're having that breakthrough into divine union, it's making you realize and reassess all of the experiences that led to these points in the past that took to come into this space. For feminine specifically, this is that moment that feels like it's very grounding and coming into that point of inevitability. And in a way, this is feminine almost slowing things down energetically, because feminine is already seeing the fact that the masculine here is working with them on that timeline, which is almost creating this sense of peace in the feminine that doesn't feel like they need to rush forward to a certain degree. Feminine's trying to bring some patience in. Do you see what I said about the feminine energy and the divine union being a little bit more patient right now versus masculine? Masculine to a certain extent. Why is masculine trying to move forward right now? Because masculine, again, coming into divine union, feels like they found the perfect counterpart in terms of a grounding energy. Because masculine energy is showing here this level or degree of consistency and building that consistent experience with the feminine right now. This is masculine that feels like they're growing forth with the feminine every day. And if anything, this is masculine that wants to like expand that garden, if you will. And that's where we find the energy in divine union right now, which is all about, again, it's about that mutual accessibility and understanding of what you're growing and making sure that your timing is in alignment. Masculine wants to grow out more, wants to expand fuller now. Feminine is moving more conservatively. Bottom of the deck on this reading for today is Empress. Beautiful cards for today, even our bottom of the deck. So one of the things that we're effectively seeing right now that may be a bit of a challenging space for the feminine is this is a feminine energy that is coming in the divine, coming through in the divine union energy specifically, as building into a better sense of their own self. The more that feminine is coming into that point of understanding with the self, the more comfortable feminine is feeling. And this is a feminine energy. I have to stress here, this is a problem that we're seeing energetically between masculine and feminine, even in the divine union frequency. This is like when feminine comes into a point of comfort, feminine doesn't want to rush things forward because feminine doesn't want to disrupt the balance of what has been created that has created the point of present comfort, right? So this is feminine wanting to slow things down, and that slowing down isn't hesitancy. It's amplifying a feminine that feels very comfortable in the divine union frequency and is working very conservatively not to disrupt the comfort. The problem with the masculine is masculine doesn't feel that point of comfort at a point of positivity. This is masculine that wants to grow bigger. They wants to grow further with feminine. So this is that moment that the masculine wants to move into like much more, like wants to like amplify. They want to take that activity point. But again, being mindful of the feminine's own comfort level in terms of not wanting to disrupt the balance of something. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union right now. This is literally, again, a feminine that is feeling the peace and stability of wanting to slow something down. But this is even a feminine that's seeing right now masculine that's moving towards them with like such vitality that in a way it's almost creating a slowing down point for the feminine, because this is feminine energy that feels the anxiety that masculine at times, particularly in the past, may build this point with feminine where they over idealize them. And this is feminine feeling the anxiety of, again, especially seeing a masculine that's moving towards them with this tenacity. This is why we see feminine slowing something down, because it's feminine feeling the anxiety and saying, I know that you consider me in this like high aspirational state, but the more that you get to know me, is this something that is going to be maintained, or are you idealizing me as opposed to truly wanting to understand who I am? So even now, this is feminine trying to like, almost lower their own heart like space for fear of the experience of masculine from the past having overly idealized the feminine, only to pull back away when they start to truly understand and recognize who the feminine is that isn't perfect. Masculine, if coming into partnership with a feminine, you may be seeing this on a feminine that may be feeling somewhat cynical or pushing back on your own idealization or care for the feminine, because this is feminine energy that's feeling the anxiety, or you're seeing the fact that this is feminine that's felt some kind of core wound on energy that's only come to feminine from a passion center, as opposed to truly wanting to protect and cultivate and build with the feminine. So we see here even now masculine that's coming into divine union with feminine, this point of wanting to effectively ascertain and secure feminine and let feminine know, no, my feeling for you isn't something that is just based on passion. I'm going to show you with consistency that you are something and someone that I care about and protect. I don't just access for passion purposes. Is coming into high fruition right now. This is being amplified. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is that energetic equivalent where feminine, again, is aspiring and desiring to be appreciated, seen, respected, loved. This is why if a feminine's stepping back from something right now, it's not a feminine that desires to. This is a feminine almost saying to the masculine, I need to know that you care about me. I need to know that I don't just serve the function of creating a safe haven for you, that I also have needs that need to be addressed and cared for. So this is feminine that, again, is going through a moment that they're doing what's best for them, but it feels very painful because they're releasing what they may aspire as an ideal energetic connection, while simultaneously potentially starting to see and experience that from an outside energy that wasn't necessarily their full manifestation goal at the time that they're now coming into a state of release. This is why it's so difficult for feminine, because this is feminine saying, I'm trying to choose myself, but recognizing and identifying that the energetic equivalent that's aligned will treat me with the respect I know I deserve, that is my birthright. Masculine in separation right now. This moment may feel to a certain extent, again, if this is a feminine that you tried to move towards from a point of openness and clarity and that led to a point of rejection, this is potentially facilitating and feeling that sense of rejection from a feminine that you tried to be open with but wasn't necessarily in alignment with your manifestation goal. So recognizing the difference right now between the energy of the feminine that attracted you versus thinking about that long-term manifestation goal and whether you are offering that by context of moving towards the feminine right now is really key. Especially because we see that for a lot of the masculine energy at this time, there could be a moment that you're coming into separation because you said to the feminine what you thought the feminine wanted to hear, instead of recognizing that what the feminine wanted to hear was truth. They wanted to hear your truth. They wanted you to build with them, not in a space of trying to just please them and create a false illusion, but by showing them the clarity and truth of experience that would show that you are looking at them as a counterpart instead of an idealization or a prize. So even now, for a lot of the masculine energy moving into this space of understanding, it may be feeling like it came at a large cost in terms of feeling like you lost some kind of opportunity with feminine energy that you didn't necessarily move towards in the right way, but even now is being amplified with your own ability to learn from that lesson and to change as you move forward. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website, so I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.